A big news day for the Cardinals, a recruiting update video that is turning somewhat into a massive postseason, offseason. What is happening with the Cardinals update? Stick with us. We'll fill you in. What's cooking? Welcome back into another edition of ESPN Louisville Plus. I'm Justin Sofer. Of course, I got you covered for all things Cards, Cats, bourbon in that bluegrass. And if we know one thing, it's that is now official go time in the postseason, the offseason for one Louisville basketball. Pat Kelsey and his staff were those that remain in the end. But first up, we're going to talk about the big news of the day, and that's talking about a little bit of a winky face excitement from Pat Kelsey this morning. I saw it as I was driving in to my day job in a situation where a lot of people maybe were saying, maybe cool it down. We don't know exactly what he's talking about. But in the end, oh, yes, we do. And that is the news that one Great Britain's own, if you will, tea and crumpets, Quinn Ellis may be a guy that is heading toward joining Pat Kelsey's team and becoming the point guard of the future. Well, the point guard of next season for Pat Kelsey and Louisville basketball. I'll go ahead and throw it to this little screen share on here so you can see some of what we've been seeing when it comes to Quinn Ellis and what he can bring to the Cards in the future of Louisville basketball. I'm gonna put it right there. I may have to throw some kind of watermark or something to keep from getting a little bit of what you may call copyright infringement. That might be the situation. But you can see some highlights there of Quinn Ellis and what he brings to the table for his team there. Obviously, long. Big player for a point guard, a guy who can do a lot. Right now, averaging 8 points. And I know that, yes, 8 points, whatever. This is a highly touted prospect, a guy that recently, and one reason it's such a big news story, and it's a whole nother thing that we can talk about, is that this was a guy rumored very much recently to be one that Mark Pope and Kentucky have been highly looking at and maybe seeking in the transfer portal. And right now, it looks like Louisville is going to end up being the favorites. Also, additionally, recently, while Kentucky's been a name listed, also other schools, Duke as well. Let me go ahead and actually switch back over to here, and I'll switch it to the tweet by Big Blue Dylan, if you will. He talked about some of the other schools that are getting involved: Duke, Louisville, Houston, Florida, BYU. If we're talking about a lot of teams that are the they're the more well-to-do teams, as much as I wish Louisville were a Duke, a Houston, a Florida right now. Maybe this is their opportunity this next season. This is what we're hoping that Pat Kelsey is going to do with his team. He goes on to say that Duke at this time, and this was on the 21st when he had said it, that Duke was the perceived leader there with, he's obviously playing out of Italy, even though he is a Brit, if you will. He's playing out of the Serie A, and I know the Serie A very well when it comes to the football side or, soccer, if you will. But when it comes to basketball, interesting to see some of the play he's getting. Averages 8.2 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists. Turnover ratio is 1.7. Then he is 49, 39, and 81 there overall. Just some statistics to get you by, if you will. But let's go back to some of that footage. Obviously, seeing a lot of the highlights of what he can bring to this team and to the squad. My personal opinions on the player. Obviously, I'm excited about getting a player of this caliber, a guy that, Mark Pope in Kentucky have been wanting, a guy that Shire and Duke have been wanting, which does a little bit more for me, no offense, than Mark Pope and Kentucky do right now. And Mark Pope and Kentucky have had their fair share of shakeups recently, with one Jason Hart leaving to go to SMU, and we'll see what happens with Tyron Stokes there in the long run. Additionally, we've seen how Mark Pope's recruiting's panned out. So while, Louisville had the recruiting battle when it came to trying to bring Ali Khalifa on and everything that goes along with that, so that maybe wilts a little bit of my opinion when it comes to getting a player like this over Mark Pope, but at the same time, there's other guys who have positive things to say about Ellis, and I will go ahead and throw that to one Travis Branham, who joined. And, while you're watching some of this footage here on the side, we can hear what he had to say as well.
Yeah, he's a tremendous talent. Big point guard, got legit size, very skilled, playing in one of the most competitive leagues in the world, and getting real experience there. 6'4", 6'5", just savvy with the ball in his hands, sees the floor really well. Great feel and IQ out of ball screens and in the pick and roll. Just a really intriguing, promising talent that I think could be a real impact player in year one, wherever he ultimately ends up.
So obviously some good things there from Travis Branham. Obviously something to get you excited about. Now, let me just get to the real crux of what I need to talk about. That's awesome. That's great. I'm excited about having potentially the point guard of the future for Louisville basketball. And we can move on from there. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and pull this away too, just because I don't want to, just in case that copyright hits, it's going to hit me pretty hard if I leave it on the entire video. That being said, a guy like this does a lot of great things for me, makes me excited. There is the one situation that does kind of sit with me a little bit, which is what is happening in this offseason, what's happening with Louisville basketball going after big men. I was really hoping that the first news I would hear out of this, and I knew it probably was less likely than as I would hope, because we've seen 2 off seasons now of Pat Kelsey coming in and getting his recruits and going after guys, and the point guards are where he really hits first. You got Chucky Hepburn. You talk about Fats Edwards as well. Guys like that, he goes and he hits hard and he wants to lock them down. Got Michael Brown, got Ryan Conley, I think Adrian Woolley was the first one last year, if I remember correctly. But guys like that, so it makes sense that this is one that he's going to lock down. If you're beating Houston, if you're beating Duke, and even if you're beating Kentucky in these scenarios, that's always a great thing. Now, maybe the not so good news, obviously, yes, and then I'll save the big man rants for later. We'll see how this develops and how this goes, and I would love to see a big man come into Louisville, and I'm hoping that's maybe one of the next 1 to 2 guys that really we get a focus on, is a big man to show that they're making some changes. Well, there are other signs of changes being made by Pat Kelsey and with the staff, and I'm not sure how much this has to do with Pat Kelsey choosing to do it, or if it's that they're being forced on Pat Kelsey. We'll throw it back up to the screen share one more time. Jeff Goodman, because who else would have this news? Who else would update you when it comes to Louisville basketball if it were not Jeff Goodman? Jeff Goodman knows all. But anyway, Louisville basketball is losing their second assistant coach in the last 24 to 48 hours. Yesterday, Ethan Moore, people like that, talked about Thomas Carr leaving to go to Indiana, one that worried me a little bit less. And then this one, though, kind of hits me a little bit harder. Jeff Goodman reporting that Louisville general manager Brian Kloman is heading to Auburn to take the same position with Stephen Pearl, source told the Field of 68. Kloman has a long-standing relationship with Pearl, dating back to their days at Tennessee. Kloman's a relentless worker who transitioned from assistant coach to GM a year ago. I've also seen people mention that he had a lot to do with working with Louisville's cap space, maybe organizing what they could purchase and all that with the NIL and everything. Now, this one worries me. This one bothers me a little bit when it comes to Louisville basketball losing one of their top tier assistants. Like, yeah, there's a lot of guys who could be on the chopping block who could end up taking that L and you could send them out. Thomas Carr, who Ethan Moore was talking about last night, viewed as, if Brian Kloman is the right arm of Pat Kelsey, my guy is the left arm, Thomas Carr. So I was like, you lose your left arm, another guy moves up, and you go get another guy who could be your next left arm, if you will. Instead of the situation, you're losing your right-hand man, the top of the guy who honestly didn't make any sense to me in the beginning of why you move him off of a assistant coaching role and moving him to a general manager role. Maybe it's something that maybe that's his preference. Maybe he doesn't really want to do a lot of in-game coaching, but I thought that he brought a lot to the table. I thought we were really impressed with what we saw that first season, and we also were kind of impressed with what he was able to do with guys while at the College of Charleston. But now Brian Kloman's gone, Thomas Carr is gone, and now it's time to see. Or maybe that's, maybe replace the players that I'm talking about getting. And maybe now what I want to see is sometime this week, a big name assistant that's going to do some damage when it comes to bringing in some big men and being kind of a defensive coordinator for the Cardinals, because that's what Louisville basketball needs right now. A lot of areas where they struggle was on defense and was with physicality, big men down low. Guys like Frew just didn't cut it in the end. You had him getting overtaken by Zugris at the end, which is, again, I love Zugris. I love the passion. I love the ability, everything that he brings to the table. But at the same time, Zugris cannot be, a Louisville basketball starter. Like 13 minutes a game, that's fine. But we need another Gorgie Zhang. We need even a Mango Matthew. We need a guy like that. Somebody who can be stalwart, who can be relied upon. An honest Mahmoud. Like those guys like that who are really reliable down after they were developed and down the stretch. Right now, I need to see that Pat Kelsey staff can become a staff that who can go in and develop these kind of players. So let me know how you're feeling in this circumstance. Brian Kloman gone, Carr gone, Louisville, at least the positive that we get out of this is this Louisville is lined up for this Brit to come in, Quinn Ellis, and be Louisville's next point guard. But how are you feeling when it comes to Louisville adding or having to replace both of these guys in the assistant coaches for Louisville basketball? Or do you think this is all a positive in the end and Louisville's going to be able to get it done where it matters most? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, do me a solid favor, smash that freaking like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. You can follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. And guys, I will see you all next time. Cards, Cats, Bourbon, and that Bluegrass. Peace.